Recording in progress.
Predetermined choice points. We're going to discuss this concept and this topic and how it is relevant to the now moment, to the 144, the bringers of change, and for all that want to interpret and understand the concept of fate or consciousness in the form of when we feel as though no matter what, sometimes some things are inevitable. And so before I go into this, I am Geeia Ariati. I'm the code to unlock the matrix. Welcome, brothers and sisters. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm a conduit, an oracle, a quantum healer. I go by many different names, but I'm a being that has assisted myself and others to come into a point of transcendence or healing of the human psyche so that I can be present with that of this moment and receive information from the consciousness sector we might call ineffable intelligence or source connection or God, whatever your label is. These are all just interpretations of information from different hierarchical expressions that can be transcribed through the word of information. And so what I'm going to be doing today is actually a direct channel. So a direct channel will mean that I need to close my eyes and focus, as it is later in the evening here in Brisbane, Australia, while I'm recording this. And it allows for me to connect into a 0 point of consciousness, transcribe the information without human filtration or the awake mind of my human being, my personality that wants to try and change, dictate, or interpret it from a more a lower consciousness or a lower vibrational expression, which is just its own channel. Being a walking, talking channel in this state, it's a different expression of God speaking through me as it would in a direct channel. The difference with direct channel is it allows for the 0 point to be experienced. And so what happens is we no longer require to use things like light language or somatic breath. We don't need to speak directly to unlocking cells or awakening or adding codes. What happens in a 0 point channel or a 0 point transmission is that the energy consciousness is the healer. That is what you would call instant healing. That is what you call instant remembrance. And there is no necessity to do anything other than receive and immerse yourself within the experience. So the topic that we're discussing and that we will be doing this direct channel on today is the and I've already forgotten what it was is I want to say impeding choice points, but choice points that are unchangeable. These are what we might consider as fate, or a point of time that is predetermined. And no matter what we do, that is what it is. And I want us to be able to make sense of this on our inner reality and our external reality. And so I'm going to allow for this channel to express, to speak, and for the interpretation of how this is present for us in the upcoming evolution of the earth, in the group and the collective missions, and the different transformation that is occurring for us to be able to be explained so that we as human beings can see that everything is and simultaneously isn't at the same time. And fate or choice points that are unchangeable are the same in the form of choice points that are changeable. So there are predetermined choice points that no matter what you do, you will line yourself up to that moment of time, and it's just how you arrive there. Because what happens in this reality is that we have a positive and a negative experience always. We have a truth and illusion always. We have this up and down, left and right always. Even when we've transcended these concepts, they are still what makes this three-dimensional reality what it is. And to explain this in the most simplistic way, there are certain truths that just are, in the form of you cannot take the third step without taking the second. You can't go step 1, step 3. You have to take step 2 to get to step 3. That is not something that is changed. That is what we would call an objective truth. And so there are objective truths when we look at the fabric of creation and transformation of reality. There is an objective truth that choice points, some of them we can change. Evolution, we can shift. We can create our own reality. And then others are absolutely out of our control. They will occur, and there's nothing that we can do about it. So with that, there is a sense of freedom if you're willing to receive it. And at other times, there can be a sense of desperation or sadness, because some of us have remembrance of these unchangeable, fated, destined experiences. But our human might not yet be fully on board to what's taking place and what's rolling out. So I'm going to invite you now to just close down your eyes and experience this from a place of mind-heart coherence, so that we can create a beautiful container within the quantum experience where you can breathe in and receive these vibrations or this 0 point consciousness with as much ease and grace. If you are driving, please do not listen to a transmission like this whilst you are driving or in a place where you might have an altered state of experience. Be mindful, pause this if you need to, and come back at a later point of time when you have the space to hear, listen, and dissolve. And so with that, I'm going to ask you now to find a place that is comfortable for your spine, for your hips, rolling your shoulders back and allowing your chest to naturally open. And we're just going to close our eyes down now. We're going to close our eyes and start to bring our awareness to what we might want to call the spark of spirit, or simultaneously the 0 point of consciousness. And you're going to close those eyes and bring your awareness to this spark and this 0 point, and allow for your being to soften, allowing for your sympathetic nervous system to soften, allowing for your neurology to start to fire and wire in a new state of receiving, and asking your biology to yield, releasing tension and any states of consciousness or any thought forms, paradigms that might cause you to be out of body, disconnected, disassociated, or in avoidance of this present now here moment. And you're going to close yourself into a point of void space where all of you starts to allow for the consciousness to shift, where you can breathe 3 deep breaths into mind, heart, gut coherence, or God, Source, Creator, I Am presence, by breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Relaxing and breathing, yielding and softening, feeling the vibrations and the tonality of the word that allows you to sink deeper and deeper into awareness and consciousness itself, becoming that of the field, becoming that of the primordial connection, and allowing the above and the below, the inner and the outer, to fully connect into this state and space of being. As you sit in this point of unification, solidification of I am, self, presence, no need to think, No need to do. Just allowing the body, the being, to naturally find its state of equilibrium. And from this state of equilibrium, able to receive without needing to consciously interpret, make sense of, or dictate the information. That the language comes through easily, and it is experienced through all layers of consciousness, from the known to the unknown, the cognitively understood to the misunderstood, through different layers of that of self, knowing that you are all expressions, and that what is here for you is all that is required. What is here for you is exactly why you arrived right here now in this moment. A predetermined choice point, or a predetermined destined time experience, is something that may be considered to the human mind as an expression of creation that has already been created. Therefore, what we are expressing in this moment is that there is a way of understanding and understanding that a creation that has already occurred, when one effectively goes back in time or has created it through enough vibrational force or focused intention, has a manifestation date that is solidified. Many of you think of manifestation or conscious creation in the form of vibrational frequency and that of an ethereal perspective. Yet when you become aware that every ethereal experience and consciousness presentation that exists within the thought forms becomes a solid, tangible expression of matter, you'll start to interpret and understand that your manifestations do become physical realities. It's just whether or not you have come to terms to see the amount of physical manifestation, or you're able to witness what was manifested from thought. For instance, a small experience or focused thought has a direct manifestation and actualization point. Without recognizing it, many think many different thoughts, which become that of an emotional vibration that becomes that of an experience in the human vessel. Each thought has an instantaneous emotion, sensation, and feeling that drives the human expression and the experience, and becomes what is known as your human interpretation or lived human experience. This is a direct correlation that you cannot think something without it becoming a physical, tangible, real expression. And so what this means for the form of a point of time that is already predicted and is unchangeable is that at some point in the previous experience of your reality, a large enough consciousness and group collective had the same thought with the same vibrational connection and the same intention, that it created an instant creation point or physical manifestation that is under rollout already. So what you might consider lining up to a predetermined choice point is actually you just living the experience to receive the physical actualized recognition of something that was already chosen way back before it began to be seen in your physical expression. This means that there are certain things that have been created from well before your physical incarnation, and things that have been instated and created from the very beginning of time. The point of a predetermined, destined creation works through the interpretation of understanding that time is not secular, but it can be seen as a straight line perspective of direct information becoming that of physical creation. This interpretation of time allows for us to see that cycles are around the straight form of information that has already become a physical, tangible creation that the human being may find hard to interpret or understand. What this is, in a simplistic and more easeful understanding, is that if you witness a tree fall in a forest, you've seen the point that that tree fell. Yet if you were not there when the tree fell, you have no tangible time or measurable expression of when that happened. It is done through a predicted expression of what was to what is. So when something that is predicted shows up into the physical experience, one can only perceive and trace back through the consciousness a perception of when that took place, because no one witnessed the initial cause and effect that has occurred. This concept of information is a little more intellectually confusing, whilst also being conscious, expanding. That is not the importance of this message in particular. The most important aspect of what is being delivered to you in this moment is to access your own consciousness and see the areas in the forefront of your future that have predetermined creations that were already created way back in your past. Things that have a solidified timeline of some form of physical actualization because it was already and is already manifested. Taking this moment to see into the forefront of your future and seeing how many points of predetermined choice points are there and how are they presenting themselves to you to be prepared for or interpreted from the fact that the choice has already been made. This is where there can be confusion around having choice and simultaneously not having choice, is that when something is chosen and it is solidified into the human experience, you cannot undo it. That would be no difference to if you went and sliced a cucumber. You can't unslice the cucumber. There is no tangible physical way that you could do this. So once there is choices made, they create a physical experience, an experience that is played out. What choices have been made that are effectively unchangeable in your current trajectory as this human evolution shifts? And what areas of your own awareness, remembrance, and information of prophetic vision, as you might call it, which is actually just visioning into a already created choice point that was far back in the past of what you once were, and you're lining up to the experience of it in your actualized reality. What are these areas of information that you know no matter what you do, how you see the world, that you will experience this? And can you, in these moments of recognition, realize that these points have already been created, and how do you allow for yourself to experience them either in the most joy and grace or in the most acceptance for what is and already is underway? Whew. So to recap that, my invitation from that is to sit with a journal. Take a little bit of time to see in the peripheries of your future and your forefront vision how many marker points you might have. Do you have 3 main markers? Do you have 5, 7? And just see how many points you become aware of these predetermined choice points, these points of fated time, these areas of creation that we've already made the choice. We absolutely can do nothing about a choice that has already been made. It is natural evolution of consciousness to then play that choice out and make new choices along the way. And when you are able to look at these different points and bring up an energy consciousness that sits for each one, how do you feel about it? What do you think about it? You don't even need to know what that future predetermined choice point is, but being able to recognize what is the sensations, what is the feelings, what is it that I have within me that is either pushing, pulling, tugging, manipulating something that already is done. And if you're able to see what your story is about these predetermined choice points and reconcile the wounding or the mutated perspectives of self, the belief systems, then you're able to come into alchemy so that you're able to see these points of time, experience these points of time, and choose from the sovereign self in more unity of this is how it is. And how am I going to move through what is in the knowing that it's already arrived, it's already happened. There is nothing I can do other than how I respond to it. And so by journaling this will allow you the insight to clear, to activate, and transmute your perspective on some of those predetermined choice points that are to come. If you enjoyed this transmission, I will be sharing some of these predetermined choice points with you over the next coming weeks. Different information, prophetic visions, and oracle insights into the evolution of the human planet and the tipping point of consciousness that is already well underway. Please like, subscribe, follow my messages, share with someone who you may find that needed to receive that transmission, that direct channel. And if you enjoyed this, I would love to invite you to our direct quantum remembrance channeling session, which is in the community page that you can find on the link tree at tomorrow 5 a.m. Brisbane time, nice and early when I'm fresh, where we talk to the 0 point of consciousness, recalibrate, and work as a group collective to assist that of our brothers and sisters in this great awakening. I love you, beautiful souls. Thank you for your time and your energy. And until next time.